We are live.
Are we now? Okay, guys. Well, hello and welcome to the 37th episode of Hell in a Handbasket. It is the 14th of January. We've let you guys without an episode for quite a long time, but I mean, half of the reason is it's my fault because, I'm Russian. So therefore I get to celebrate Christmas 2 times because I'm a Russian American. So I get to celebrate on the 25th as well as on the 7th. And between then you have you have New Year's. So I'm like out of commission between the 25th to usually between the 25th to about the 7th. And then after that, we couldn't get our schedules straight. But finally, here we are. It took us.
I don't know about you. I was just eating for the last month. Holy crap. Like I've gained like 10 pounds in the last 3 weeks.
Yo, me too.
And I'm all fucking bloated as all hell.
Me too, and there's so much food, and like technically the celebrations for my family are over. There's gonna be more excuses to meet up and gorge yourself. So it's definitely, I'm not complaining, but yeah, like you said, it's definitely I put on some pounds. But yeah, so what kinds of things did we miss while we were out of commission? So, there was a whole bunch of news from the Russian oil tanker seizures to, of course, Venezuela, the big one that we were not around for. Then, of course, the Iran protests. So there's a lot of stuff that we got to catch up on. And I'd say where we should go first, what we should start with is the Maduro thing. Because what I recall is, if I'm not mistaken, I put Maduro on my nice list for our Christmas special episode. I was like, okay, he's going to be he's going to be put on the nice list. Well, Maduro got, what's the Russian saying? За доброе дело еще пострадать нужно. That means like for a good deed, it's not enough to do a good deed. You also have to suffer on top of everything else, So that's kind of what it looks like. I'm like, damn. But looking at this whole thing, reading up about it, the way that I'm looking at it is this to me looks like some kind of a soft military coup. Like it's not a total military coup, but it's like they couldn't have done this because I'm sure that we will all. I mean, I was watching live as Wyatt was covering it on the DPA channel, and there was like one instance where there was any anti-aircraft activity. So the Venezuelans had high-end Russian weaponry. They had jet aircraft that could have been scrambled. They had S-300s, very highly sophisticated modern air defense system. One of the best there is in the world. The reports were that supposedly they weren't even turned on. Whose fault is that? Is Maduro sitting there babysitting the S-300s, or is that somebody in the military that tells people to stand down?
Well, they were told to stand down. My understanding was he got sold out by the intelligence chief. That was the rumor going around at the time.
I think that this would not have been possible without the military. So remember when we were talking about this, we're like, what the hell are they doing? They're surrounding Venezuela. They got troops in surrounding countries. They got these ships there. What the hell are they trying to do? And it was like, are they trying to blockade them? Well, I think during the course of those weeks is that what was happening is there was a negotiation going on. You have your guys right there. That's probably the easiest way for you to be able to have some kind of direct negotiations without. You could probably talk to them more easily because they're right there. Easier to have some kind of a back channel going on. So I think they discussed some stuff, made some agreements. There's going to be some people that are going to get rich off of Venezuelan oil. And I think that there was enough elite dislike of Maduro. Because this got brought up multiple times. The whole Maduro dancing video. We talked about it briefly, but the Maduro dancing video, they brought up how Trump didn't like that. I don't think so. I think that the reason why they bring that up is because there were some people in the military or in the intelligence or in the government that were like, this clown, This is the clown that we have to deal with. Like they were the ones that were offended by the dancing. Like I can imagine Hugo Chavez doing that. He was just very different. Like there is something very serious about Hugo Chavez. Like he just came across as competent and serious, like almost like in a dangerous way, which Maduro does not. Maduro comes across as like, happy-go-lucky Latin American Disney dad.
Well, I think it all comes down to I wouldn't overthink this one. I think the Americans blockaded the ports, and yes, I do agree with you that they went into Venezuela and they tried to, quote, negotiate. And the Trump way of negotiating is, we want this, we want that, we want the other thing, and you're going to capitulate to us. Maduro said no, then he got sold out. Then the Americans
he didn't even
went
say
in.
No. He said he'll work with them. Remember, the Russians even advised them to just give the Americans everything that they wanted. And he
Maduro
said that he
didn't say
would.
that. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Where you? No, he didn't. That's what
like he didn't say that. No, but he didn't say that. Actually, what they were saying, that there were figures in the government saying, well, Maduro is like selling out anyway.
Nobody in the Venezuela, I think they just bought out the intelligence chief because the intelligence chief was crooked.
Enough people in the army, enough people in the intelligence, whatever it is, right?
Not really.
They didn't have like.
Understand though, Bradley. They haven't changed anything.
Yes,
so you've got your retarded president has now blockaded Venezuela. I think they went in and they tried to get a coup going. The coup hasn't worked. Now they're stuck in Venezuela with their dicks in their hands off the coast, and they got nothing for it. They've effectively not done anything. All they did was replace Maduro with Maduro's first in command. That's it.
Yeah, right? Dude. I mean, I don't know. So let me share some of the articles that I had queued up.
The government, the Chavista government is still in place, so they haven't really done anything.
That. I'm not denying. None. That's not what I'm saying. I understand that. I'm saying even with the government in place, it doesn't mean like, hey, you have a couple of hardcore stalwarts, like for example, I don't know, the people that would surround Maduro. You get rid of those, and you can work with them. Like we can work with ISIS if we have to. Like it doesn't matter. So okay, can you share the article that I'm? Sure. Oh wait, this is the Iran one. Where's the Venezuela story? Is this it? No, that's more Iran. All right, here we go. I think this is the one. Okay, so this came out 41 minutes ago, was updated. So this is fresh, right? So why Venezuela's opposition leader Machado is betting her political future on Trump? Because she has no political future otherwise. Maria Corina Machado, the Venezuelan opposition leader and 2025 Nobel Prize winner, Peace Prize winner, arrives in Washington this week for high-stakes talks with U.S. President Donald Trump on the future of Venezuela following the ouster of Nicolas Maduro. The meeting comes after Trump surprised many by allowing Maduro's vice president, Delcy Rodriguez, to assume control, dashing opposition hopes for a new democratic era. In the last 12 months have been a roller coaster for Machado. A year ago this week, she was in Caracas, struggling to energize crowds against Maduro, the authoritarian leader who has beginning a third term as Venezuela's president after his electoral authorities announced him the winner in 2024. Without realizing detailed results and despite evidence that Machado's candidate, Edmundo Gonzalez, had beaten him in a landslide. Oh, yeah, according to CNN. It was the last time anyone had seen Machado in public until last month when she emerged from hiding to receive her prize in Norway following a daring escape from Venezuela, evading capture by Maduro's forces. How's the poodle to the empire game working out for you there, Norway? However, this month, Machado sat on the sidelines as the U.S. conducted its unprecedented raid in Venezuela to capture Maduro and his wife and take them to New York, where they face charges of narco-terrorism and drug trafficking, even as Maduro's old allies remain in charge of Caracas. Both have pleaded not guilty. Throughout this period, Machado has tried to court Trump's favor, first by awkwardly supporting the White House strategy to target alleged narco-traffickers in the Caribbean, many of them Venezuelans, despite scant public evidence to justify the strikes, and then by controversially dedicating her Nobel Award to Trump himself, who has openly campaigned to receive the honor for years.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So what about this article? You don't have to read the whole thing. What's the point?
so basically, uh, because okay, what did Trump say about this lady? Because recently he had a statement about her where he was like, she's just not popular, you know.
Well, she's
So,
not. CNN just said that.
well, and
Right.
CNN tried to imply that the candidate for her party won in a quote unquote landslide in the
Yeah,
elections.
but they,
Therefore,
they also say in the article that she was struggling to draw crowds in Venezuela, right? Like I don't like
you guys catch?
Machado is
I didn't even catch that, but yeah, they
Machado
did say
is
that.
not relevant whatsoever. She's Guaido 2.0. She's nothing. I don't even know why we're talking about her.
Even
You'll
what
never
what
hear from
even
her again.
well
You
because
know?
she's not giving up on trying to get into there, and
Yeah, but
the
you
if
won't
they
hear from her again.
Trump,
She'll go to the White House. She'll offer to share the prize with Trump. He'll get a PR moment out of it, and you'll never hear from this woman again. That's it. She's finished. So, but back to what the actual leader of the country. This is Maduro's right hand chief, Delcy Rodriguez, right? And if you look at her background, I don't think she's going to kowtow to the Americans or anyone, right? Her father was killed by him.
I think that
So,
she's maybe what makes you think that she is the head honcho of the new regime. So I look at
because she
like
was named president.
okay,
And
just because you're
Trump has
president.
Trump acknowledged her as president. Everybody has.
And then what else did Trump say? Trump said that she's going to do what we want her to do. We'll do even worse to her than what we did to Maduro.
Yeah, that's what Trump does.
And then on top of that, he I don't know if this is true, but I mean, I saw screenshots of it, and I was listening to what was it, that Judge Napolitano, and he was saying that these screenshots are real. The apparently Trump posted on his Wikipedia as well as on his like Truth Social that he was like the acting president of Venezuela. So if you're that if you think of yourself that way, then you basically what you're saying is, hey, listen, we made a deal with you or the guys around you, the people surrounding you. They'll sell you out just like they sold out Maduro, for example. You're going to have to make some real concessions with us. And I think that she has to. I think that whether she wants to or not, she has to open up the Venezuela for Chevron and Exxon and all this stuff. That's the reason why they got rid of Maduro, so that this would happen.
The thing about it is, though, you got to keep in mind, it's not with them who kicked them out. It was the sanctions on Venezuela that forced Shell and Chevron and everybody else to leave. So even in the press conference about a week ago, where the I think it was the Shell CEO, basically Trump was, playing it up how they're going to make so much money, and then the Shell CEO was like, "Yeah, we won't. It's uninvestable." Made Trump look like a complete idiot right there on live TV. So,
they say that at first uninvestable. I think what they mean is like it's right now it's going to be a long road to make Venezuela profitable. And I remember the Russians also saying that.
That's exactly what it was. And no, what he was saying was we want guarantees from the U.S. government, i.e. taxpayer subsidies. How much money is the U.S. government going to give us to subsidize going in there and start pumping oil? In other words, the oil and gas companies aren't going to touch Venezuela with a 10-foot pole unless they get a shitload of taxpayer money. That's how to read it straight up, because they said it, right? We don't have to theorize this. This is what they said. So either U.S. taxpayers are on the hook for a whole lot of oil tax money, or what I think you're going to see is what we've seen in the last week. Have you heard anything about Venezuela in the last week? Nah, they're backing out of there. That's it. So this was yet another Trump failed fuck up.
No. And I think the main goal would be to deny Venezuelan oil to China and Iran. That's kind of how I look at it. And if that is the case, then it's not a complete fuck up.
Not really. But they don't because they don't need their oil.
That was like I forgot what percentage of Venezuela's oil went to China and Iran, but it was like most of it.
I don't think any of it. I don't think any of it was going to Iran because they don't need their oil. And China's oil, 90% of Venezuelan oil goes to China. That's true. However, if you look at the total oil import, Chinese imports, it's only about 4% of their oil imports come from Venezuela. So it might mean something to Venezuela, means absolutely nothing to China. They can switch on 4% anywhere.
I mean, I don't know how involved China was with Venezuela, like das wie weit? This is hilarious. I can't think of the word in English. To develop. I don't know how.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you, China has invested quite a bit into Venezuelan oil and gas, as well as infrastructure. So, as part of that deal, because the Venezuelans couldn't pay back, they're part of the Belt and Road Initiative. As part of that deal, after the sanctions came into place, they couldn't pay the Chinese back. So what the Chinese worked out with them was oil. You don't have to pay us hard currency or anything. Ship us the oil. That's why the 4% is going to China. It's basically to pay back China debts. There's no money flowing hands.
Let's just go off. Let's just operate off of that. How is that not sticking your thumb into the eye of China? Then
it's absolutely sticking the thumb in the eye of China. But the thing is, like I said, it doesn't really matter to China because it's only 4%. They can get that anywhere. But you also got to look at the counterpunch. So Chinese counterpunch towards America is going to be a hell of a lot greater than the American to Chinese. America doesn't have any leverage over China. Like, you realize that, right? They don't. They have absolutely no.
More and more, I think we're realizing that. I think more and more we're also realizing it.
So you got this dumbass president, even just yesterday, he was talking about 25% tariffs on Iran, companies that do, or countries that do business with Iran. Okay, so try to slap 25% on China and see what happens, right? China will just turn off the rare earths again. You saw how quickly Trump got on his knees and started sucking Chinese dick once they did that. So you basically have a mad king who still thinks he's powerful, and he isn't. And you're seeing it in Venezuela. You're seeing it in Iran. As nothing is going to come of Iran. And then Greenland, America will probably take Greenland because, the Europeans are a bigger bunch of Euro pussies than I think even I thought they were. But the other two, no. The rest of the world's just moved on, man. Just moved on.
Before we go to Greenland, I still want to hash out more things about Venezuela. So, Max Blumenthal says that there's no way this was any kind of a military coup because he supposedly knows the people, and he's close to Venezuela and stuff. But I think that if you have something like a soft coup, it's not total coup. It's just enough because the evidence is right on your face. How do you not enable? Okay, maybe the Chinese were visiting Maduro earlier. A few hours earlier, what do they think that there's Chinese diplomatic aircraft in the sky? Wouldn't they know something like that? So no, there's something going on here, and I think that more or less they're going to have gotten what they want. You get rid of Maduro, you get rid of a couple of ultra hardliners, people that, for example, are willing to separate Venezuela from Cuba. Leave Cuba out there to dry a little bit more. Just things like that, where you have some of your influence back in there, and you're already started the process. You already have your foot in the door. I think that there's something like that going on. I think that there's going to be some generals, some maybe intelligence people that are going to get wealthy. And as far as the vice president, Maduro's, replacement, I would say that, let's say, for example, even if right now, what are you going to tell her? Blink twice if you're, blink SOS if you need help, if you're basically if your hands are tied and you can't actually do anything and you're just being a figurehead, because you understand that the same exact generals who just turned off all of the country's air defense systems right in front of everybody, they can't pull it off a second time. So I think that I'm looking at it I'm not even looking at her. I don't know what her real convictions are, but if you have no way to turn, then you're going to, you don't really have a choice. It's like a false choice. So I think that she could be in that kind of situation. I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying. To me, it looks like there's no way this was not a that there's no way that the military was not in on this somehow. Somehow
Maybe.
something like that happened.
So
It had to have, and it's going to be a compromise because we didn't do it all just like go in there guns blazing, and like we made some deals, right? We obviously pulled some sneaky deals in the background, so that means that we're not going to get everything we want because that means we had to make compromises. If you make a deal, that means you're making compromises. Maybe they were like this: we will turn your freaking whatever is left of your Venezuela, of your Caracas, of your oil infrastructure into Swiss cheese. We will do that. So here's the deal. Here's the compromise. Just give us Maduro and maybe these two other things, and turn off your air defenses. We'll just take him, and you know what? We'll turn the spigots back on. We'll put American companies back in there. You're going to make a fuckload of money. All you're going to eat. Everybody around you is going to eat. Your friends are going to eat. We're going to be able to pay off, and then you're going to be fine. So I think it's kind of like that. And like,
I guess we'll see, but you do realize that all of this plan is going to cost the American taxpayer a shitload of money
no
because no matter what, the oil companies have said they're not going in there unless basically Uncle Sam pays for it. So I think it's no more difficult than this. I think Trump went in, tried to bully, and now I also think he wants to block the Venezuelan port, but he also wants to block out Cuba and cut them off of oil.
Well, remember the national security strategy.
So like all this is going to do is cost yet again the American taxpayer. You're all going to get poorer. You're all going to get nothing out of it. And all it's going to do is cause more hatred of Americans in South and Central America. That's it. So well done on Venezuela. I don't know what else to say about it. The whole thing was silly to me.
Well, that's I think that's where we're at as far as we know. I think that's basically all that we can say about it. That's I think that just our kind of slight difference of looking at it is I'm looking at it like Venezuela might have been like partially sold out.
They were sold. The intelligence chief absolutely sold them out, but I don't think it's as widespread as what you think.
Okay.
And the reason, like, you just haven't heard anything about it in the last week, and you notice they wanted to switch the dial really quick because it's not going well there. That's what I think. And that press conference with the oil executives, I mean, that was uncomfortable to watch because, they were all like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Same with the one yesterday with the Ford guy next to him. The guy looked like he wanted to jump out of the airplane.
Yeah, Trump's mind is just like, it's the oil. We got the oil. We got the oil. But okay. So I guess I was going to talk about Greenland near the end of our show, but let's start talking about Greenland now, I guess. So, because you brought it up, and so what is it that is? So here's my thoughts on Greenland. Let me just like kind of lay out what my thoughts are. I think that number one, they're gonna try to finagle a way to get it. They're going to do it. It's gonna happen. Maybe it'll be a territory or something at first. It's not. It seems like they're like in the middle of like testing the waters, where they're like, how much can we get away with? But they definitely want to do it. And what makes me think that is because, number one, it's all the rhetoric. It's just so blatant and so obvious. And then number two, we've tried to get Greenland like 3 times in the past. So I just learned this today. I knew that we tried to get Greenland before, but I didn't realize we've tried to get it 3 freaking separate times. So around the time of the Alaska purchase, when we bought Alaska from the Russians, then also in 1910, and then also after World War II for $100 million in gold, we tried to buy Greenland, which honestly, if the Danes had been smart, they would have been like, oh, okay, you know what? We'll do that. And then we'll just keep this $100 million of gold somewhere. And right now, that gold would probably be worth $1 trillion. I don't know. They could have actually been worth selling Greenland for that much money with the appreciation of gold. But anyway, so that's kind of, and so, okay. And you look at Danish, like public statements that are being said by their like figureheads and stuff. And you get, first of all, they're obviously pissed. They're scared. It's no longer funny. Like they were laughing about it at some point. Now it's no longer funny. They're supposedly going to be bolstering military presence in Greenland for what that's worth. I mean, what are you talking about? You're gonna what? But yeah, supposedly they're gonna do that.
Germany sent 13 troops. Norway sent 2. No, I'm not joking. And the plan is for them to be there for 2 days. So yeah, that's
no. They want to bolster it. I'm sure they actually want to do that in order to have some kind of a. But I mean, what is it? What is the EU gonna do? They're screwed. It's like checkmate. You guys tied yourselves at the hip to the American project, and now you have Donald Trump in charge. And you know what? When this wild card Donald Trump came up, you guys are the ones that decided you were going to outlast him. Like call him daddy instead of pushing back. You know, maybe we'd be in a different place than today if we had a different. But see, it was over Ukraine. They were trying to appease them over Ukraine, and guess what? And we're still trying to figure out a way to get out of Ukraine. And now they're complaining that what?
The only way to treat a bully is to punch him in the nose. That's it. And since the Europeans haven't done that, I think Greenland's all but a done deal. The Europeans don't know it yet, but yeah, it's a done deal. Like Trump basically, again, comes in with his bully tactics, says we want to take it. We're going to take it by one way or another, the hard way, the easy way. You guys pick.
Yeah, he said
that. And now you see all the Europeans. Well, let's form a working group. And I'm like, really? You're gonna workshop it, you bunch of fucking losers? They're not even. Once again, the Europeans are pretending to not hear what Trump is saying.
Well, they're lost.
When Vance went out in Munich back in February of last year and basically said, we're pulling out of this money losing dog. And for the last year, all the Europeans, well, what does this mean? And I've been saying this for the last year on this show. You've heard me. I keep saying it. The Trump administration has been shockingly consistent with their policy on Ukraine. And they've all been very consistent in what they say. It's just the Europeans are not listening to it. Same thing with Greenland. They're very clear on what they want. They want Greenland. End of story. They will take it over whether the Europeans like it or not. And the Europeans are still carrying on with, well, what does this mean? We need to come up with a package for the president to show that, you know, we're serious about Arctic security. And I'm like, you bunch of idiots. This has nothing to do about Arctic security at all. It has everything to do with the big massive island known as Greenland, where there's nobody living there who's going to complain when you go in and you ruin the environment by digging everything up. That's it. There's no other way to think about it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
One thing, I disagree with you on one point, and that is how much they perceive the importance of Greenland to the Arctic. It's probably inflated. The importance is probably inflated in their heads because, I mean, we got Canada, Alaska, like we can, but whatever. Like we have, like it's not like we can't have access to the Arctic. But think about it like this: like the way that they always bring up the Arctic, like how they divide it. I guess in their fantasies, they're like, okay, well, Russia kind of has access to this much, and then we kind of have access to this much. It's kind of like it's insurance policy to make sure that Canada's not going to go anywhere. What if the Europeans wake up and there's the populist wave actually takes over and they come to their senses and they're like, you know what, shit, we need to start trying to reestablish our relationship with the Russians or something, and who the hell knows what's going to happen with Greenland then? What if in the future, some kind of Arctic competition, it would be a neutral zone around there, and then that we were like, no, a neutral zone could have been ours. So I don't think that the Arctic is not important at all. But
I never said it wasn't, but I think that if you believe that this is really about Arctic security and not the resources, you're dreaming in Technicolor. It's all about the resources. And because they already have a treaty with Denmark. over Greenland, right? Like they can already operate in Greenland. It has nothing to do about that.
But the
It
Danes
has
are
everything
saying
to do about the resources. End of story.
the
And
Danes are
the
saying that
Europeans are too
Greenland
fucking
is,
stupid to actually, and they're too cowardly to say, listen, you want to take over Greenland? Okay. Well, just know your relationship with us is over. Get the fuck out of Europe. We're not trading with you anymore. That's what real nations do.
yeah,
But
yeah.
again, the EU are a bunch of vassal states. And at the end of the day, like I said, I think this is a done deal. The Europeans just don't know it yet. And they can take their little working group and work it up their ass because, it's pretty clear to me what the plan is.
I think that in a way that, yeah, you're not wrong, but I think more than that, we're looking at it like maybe the Trump administration is looking at it like now is the time when I can get away with it. It's not the time that we ASAP need Greenland. This is an emergency. But it is the time when we can do it. Like the world is in enough turmoil. The United States still has enough power. The Europeans are like shocked and cowed and completely like, fight or flight or freeze mode. They're like freeze, now is the time to act. Now is the time to get Greenland. Because think about it since 1910, since before that, since buying Alaska, we've wanted Greenland, right? So therefore, this is a long-term ambition, and right now is the time and this is the president that could get away with it, and this is the time that he could get away with it. And sure. How much thought he's putting into how many of the resources? How much thought did he put into the resources of Venezuela? You yourself are saying that his understanding is laughable, right? So same thing with Greenland. I don't even think that he has a clear understanding of any of this stuff.
No, he doesn't. But at the end of the day, the long-term repercussions of it will be really bad for the Americans.
It's going to accelerate the fall of NATO or the EU. Like it's going to NATO or the EU.
It'll accelerate NATO will be done if this happens, I think, and the EU will shortly follow it. I've said this on the show before, EU and NATO are both going to be dead within our lifetimes, I think.
Yeah, well, it looks like if this happens, okay, well, it's hilarious. It's crazy. I'm not even going to say it's hilarious. It's just mind-boggling. It feels like I'm living in some kind of alternative universe that we're even having this conversation. That, oh yeah, we're just going to do this. Remember how much of a fit they threw over the Russia? Okay, and when the Russians went into Ukraine, there were like referendums. These people wanted the Russians to come into Ukraine. They wanted to be part of Russia. Was there a referendum in Greenland? No. Donald Trump is just saying like, I like how you're looking over there, Greenland.
Well, it's because America's desperate now. You know that, right? Like you guys are broke, and I think I agree with you.
How's Greenland going to help them? It's going to be too long of term to make any. You're not going to instantly turn your economy around, even if Greenland was like ours tomorrow.
Sure, but this is bigger than Trump, right? Trump is just a puppet. Like he's being told what to do by somebody, right? So this goes beyond Trump, you know that. So yeah, he's just carrying out whatever he's being told, I'm sure. Trump's not smart enough to know where Greenland is. Are you kidding me? Come on. No, this is just it's just another desperate act by another desperate nation who's on the decline. And I've been saying that for a long time, and I think I've been proven right, by the way. These are all a bunch of desperate acts.
Strike while the iron is hot, or something like that, right? So right now,
or strike while you still own the iron, I think is more apt, right?
Strike while you're the one with the hammer. Still, yeah. So basically, that's kind of how I'm looking at the Greenland thing. And what I'm wondering is how would that mechanism?
That's a done deal. I think it's a done deal, and it's just a matter of time now.
But how would that? Okay, so let's brainstorm this. How would that mechanism work? What are you gonna do? Have a referendum? No. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna do this? I can't even imagine.
You just say effective X date. Greenland is now under the administration of the United States. This is what'll happen, I think. This working group that the Danish foreign minister, whatever clown he was that was talking after they met with Vance. I think my guess is the meeting went something like this. Apparently, the meeting was terrible, right? First and foremost, like it was very combative and what they said, frank. So I think what they were told by Vance was, this is happening whether you like it or not. We can make you look really weak, or we can make it look like this was some sort of negotiated deal. But we will be taking Greenland. We're going to give you some financial compensation for it. It's going to be an absolute joke because it'll be like a few $1 billion or something, like pocket change. You guys are going to, come up with some narrative that this is in the best interest of NATO and blah, 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 to try to save face. And then you're going to fuck right off and leave us alone. As for the 50,000 people living there, they're either going to get used to being American or they're not. But either way, we're coming in, we're drilling the place dry, we're going to rip up whatever we want for rare earths, and if all the little whale heads up there have a problem with it, fuck them too. That's all it is, man.
So how rich is Greenland in petroleum? Is it really? Because is it like a wealth of
Reality is we don't know, right? Because a lot of it is under ice and it hasn't really been explored.
Really?
But you gotta, but you gotta believe that there's a ton of shit there. But it's just not cost effective to get it. But that doesn't mean in the future it won't be, right? So that's what I'm saying. This is a longer term game than Trump.
Yeah, think about this. If we manage to grab Greenland, and instead of the Europeans profiting from all of the wealth of that land, right, it's ours, and we sell it to them at our prices. Yeah, I could see that. It would be a really long-term plan, but that's exactly the kind of way that we would. That's exactly the very American plan.
Well, it's not even devious because it's pretty out in the open. Like, it's not like they're hiding it or anything. That's exactly what the plan is. But again, the Europeans are talking like, what does all this mean? Oh my God, do we need to workshop it? Do we need to have a meeting in Paris with croissants? Oh my God.
If you need to workshop this, if you didn't just look at it and immediately recognize it for what it is, there's some cognitive dissonance going on, bro. I hate to tell you, you and your egghead friends are going to sit around and you're going to figure out jack shit because you're going to try to avoid ways of looking the answer straight in the face. Like if I was interested in, oh my God, the Americans are going to try to actually take Greenland, what would I do tomorrow? I would be like, listen, Russia, we are so sorry. We're going to try to back off. Maybe you wouldn't do it as openly, right? Maybe you start softly, just like by publicly.
You know what I would do? If I was the Danish prime minister, okay, not her, she's fucking useless, but the Danish president, I would have gotten on a plane. I would have gone to the White House. I would have gone into the Oval Office. I would have looked Trump in the eyes and I would have said, Greenland's Danish territory. If you go near it, you're going to be at war with us. I know that you're going to beat us, but you're going to have to kill every single one of us in doing so. And then I would have gotten up and I would have walked out. And then you know what? Trump would have backed down.
Okay, you think like that, right? Okay, right. Because you're saying you're playing to his personality, right?
No, that's how you treat a bully. Bullies are the biggest cowards you'll ever meet.
Same thing.
Yeah, bullies are the biggest cowards you'll ever meet, and Trump is the biggest bully / coward I've ever seen. So yeah, he'd fold like a deck of cards. But instead of that, you've got all of these Eurocrats who are still playing the what does it all mean game. And it's like,
that's what I'm telling you.
Like you guys deserve to, like Denmark, you deserve to lose Greenland because you're just such a useless country. Fuck you, Danes. So I got some low-key heat for the Danes apparently. But you know what? You make your bed, you lie in it, as far as I'm concerned. I seem to recall Denmark was the first country in Europe to recognize Kosovo. and their sovereignty. So turnabout is fair play.
Yeah, see, that's one of the other points that I was going to make is that other public statement officials that lean kind of the other way, they're like literally bitching and complaining, saying we've been nothing but a good ally. So they're saying like we've been a good puppy. How could you do this? Yeah.
And I've always used this analogy for Canada before. And it's fitting for you could basically insert any country, European country, into the same analogy. But what I've always said about Canada is kind of like, Renfield to America's Dracula. Remember with the character Renfield, who was the human, who turned on the humans and he sides with Dracula and he's like Dracula's minion?
Dude, I read Bram Stoker's Dracula in high school. I don't remember any of his characters.
So Renfield was this Renfield was this really shit character, and he was just a yes man for Dracula. And that's what I've always said. I always said Canada was the Renfield to America's Dracula. But
so you could just take offense.
Yeah, you could just as easily say Denmark, because keep in mind, Denmark is actually Denmark has been more of an ally to the United States than Canada has. When you think about it, we didn't go into Iraq. Denmark
they deserve it more,
right?
They deserve it even more than the Canadians.
Buddy, I remember 2003 really well. And the first two countries in Europe that were kind of like chomping at the bit to get into Iraq were the UK and Denmark. Germany never went in. Canada didn't go in. France didn't go in. Like, we all kind of backed away. But no, the Danes couldn't wait to go kill some Iraqis. So, yeah, you've got the Danish Renfield, who is now saying, but boss, I've done everything that you asked me. And what did Dracula do? He ends up turning on Renfield, if you recall. So
okay. Now I'm sort of recalling. Now I'm sort of remember. Dude, it's been such a long time. It's like I used to be a big bookworm. I used to do a lot of reading. Now there's just too much news to read. Like, there's so much news to be reading. It's just too much.
So fuck you, Renfield, Denmark. Fuck you, Renfield.
But yeah, dude, I don't know. When it comes to like books that I know I gotta reread, I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I still never read like War and Peace. I gotta reread Brothers Karamazov. Other than that, like, there's really not that many books that I'm like, okay, I gotta. Everything else, I'm just like, okay, I'm fine with just reading the news. It's crazy to think.
You ever read Count of Monte Cristo?
Yeah, I did. I used to love.
I could reread that. That's a great book. Yeah,
Dumas.
That's a great book.
Yeah,
Alexander Dumas.
I remember.
He did Three Musketeers.
Okay, yeah.
And what else did he write? Anyway, sorry.
Was he the one that did 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea?
No, that was
Jules Verne. That was Jules Verne. Yeah. See, like, a lot of those are like, okay, those were cool. I don't know if I'd go and reread them. I think the books that I'd have to go and reread are books that are like, what the hell was that? Kind of like, when I was like a kid watching The Matrix for the first time, like, what the hell was that? Like, I got to rewatch it to understand it. Like, there's kind of some books like that. I think The Matrix came out. So it's like, okay, those ones would be definitely a good way to invest my time. Otherwise, I just feel like I'm wasting time. I could be reading the news. I don't have time to read like fiction. But anyway, I don't know. We got off on a tangent. But anyway, so we should touch on Iran. So what the heck is going on with Iran? So speaking of the the live stream that Wyatt did over the live stream that Wyatt did regarding during the abduction of Maduro, he also touched on Iran, and he was like, yeah, I think that it's going to, this time's different. X switch to the Iranian flag, all this kind of stuff. And I was like, man, I didn't see Maduro like happening, but if you were to ask me, do I think that Venezuela or Iran is on a stronger foot to prevent some kind of internal subversive action? I would have bet on Venezuela going down sooner. So because I think that Iran is just not the same kind of country as Venezuela. Number one, logistically, right? Again, Venezuela is very close to the United States in our backyard.
Mhm.
Iran is not only a bigger country, it's like 90 million people with a serious military. Iran is also, I think, not going to be as easy to subvert in that same way. And if we could have, I think that we would have already by now. Israel's right there, right? They got the Mossad. But
Well, it was the Mossad who organized all this. You realize that, right?
of
Like
course,
they captured.
Of course, but
Captured.
the thing is about this protest is number one. I think Wyatt was maybe off the mark because I still think that I don't think that Iran's going down quite yet. It's still possible, I guess.
God, no.
I was
Did he
pretty
say
sure.
that?
I don't think so.
Listened to it, but no.
Well, he was saying that he was predicting that it would. If I didn't hear him incorrectly, like he thought that Iran would also be a success for our side. I was like, I don't know.
He's captured by the CIA or something lately. I don't know, but
I don't know. I think that Wyatt is just laying out how he thinks. But
but the thing about Iran is they've been under sanctions and all this stuff for the last 50 years or whatever it is. You're not going to break them, right? And quite the opposite. You know, is there unrest over the over inflation in Iran? Absolutely. Like most places, there's a lot of inflation going on there because of sanctions. Now, with that said, I think that Mossad used that tension to get a rent-a-crowd out to start lighting people on fire and whatever.
That's exactly,
and
from what I understand, that's exactly what happened. It started off with
what's happened, right? But what we're not seeing in the Western media here, what about the rally that happened 2 days ago? Was it 2 or 3 days ago, whatever it was? And there was like 1.5 million pro-government people rallying, and they had the president, whatever his name, he was walking out with the people in the rally, marching with them. You didn't see any of that, right? But it doesn't make it any less real. It happened, right? But we see the same little footage of 100 people, you know, there's nothing going on there. Like,
there's no doubt that it is heavily astroturfed. And from what my understanding is, what happened is it started off with, of course, as always does with these color revolutions, right, with legitimate protests. So there were some like legitimate protests, and they were like something that was localized to working groups, like certain working professions were trying to protest for something related to their specific jobs. So it was something that was like not very even political. And those protests went on for like a week or something. And then as they started dying down, these new ones started up, and these new ones were more violent and more, much more political. And Elon Musk's, Starlink was brought into the country. So like this, there's obvious like some kind of concerted effort, you know, from the color revolution regime change book thing. And it looks like it's actually not going to work out. And I remember just thinking, remember when the color revolution failed in both Kazakhstan and in Belarus? And I was thinking, like, did we lose? Are we like losing our touch, or did the Russians just crack the code for the color revolutions? You know, now they're like, don't try this here. We know. But in looking at the Iran thing, I think that we're losing our touch.
I don't think it's so much as losing the touch, more so than it is people have awoken to the playbook, right? So you can't do color revolutions anymore because people know exactly where it's coming from. And they're going to be like, the whole point of a revolution is it needs to be organic from the bottom up to really work.
Can you share my screen?
I think, oh yeah, sure. So I think people have just figured out the playbook, and they're not playing ball because why would they? I go back to, nobody wants to align with the United States anymore, Bradley. Nobody wants to trade with you. Nobody wants to travel there. Nobody wants you traveling to their country. They're walking away from you. So, you know, why would a color revolution work? You know what I mean? Like, because people have figured that out.
Well, it would work not because it's good for the people in mass, right? Not for the masses. It would work because it's good for a certain small elite subsection. That's why they switched it back to the Shah's
Right.
flag and
But
stuff. That's who they're
the
playing
problem
to.
is the masses have figured out the game, right? It used to be that you could do a coup with a very small percentage of your population, and then the coup happens, and everybody else just kind of goes along with it. That's not happening anymore. Like, you're seeing people go out onto the streets en masse and say, no, we're going to protect our government. We're going to protect our government buildings. That's what you saw in Venezuela. That's what you're seeing in Iran, right? So, you don't get 1.5 million people out from a CIA budget. This is an organic thing versus a make-believe thing, I guess is my point. The playbook doesn't work anymore because the owner of the playbook, nobody trusts.
I mean, it still has its effect. Look, 15 minutes ago, Tehran mayor says protests have caused $20 million worth of damage.
Well, yeah, you get a bunch of Mossad agents going around shooting people and lighting shit on fire. It's going to cause damage. But was it effective? Doesn't look like it. Like you said, it's a failed color revolution. Iran is going to die down within the next week, and then you're not going to hear about it again. They're not going to attack Iran. Not a chance.
Well, here's how you know that they're backing down, because they're already backing down. Look, this was earlier today. So what we know, President Donald Trump said that Iran has no plan for executions amid fears the fate of a detained anti-government protester. He declined, however, to take military action off the table, saying his administration will wait and see.
Well, there you go.
What they're doing, they're already backing down. It's like, hey, Iran's not going to do anything bad. I mean, if they were, we'd have to wait and see. That's even kind of ambiguous language. Earlier, some U.S. personnel were urged to leave a U.S. military base in Qatar as a precaution. Sources told CNN Trump in recent days had expressed support for the protesters and vowed that help is on its way. So
yeah,
at least
yeah. So again, you got a guy who's making up policy on the fly and out of his ass. That's all I see here.
He has got his finger in the wind. He's like trying to see where it is, because like a couple of days ago he says this, now he's saying this, and then look what CNN is trying to say: 2,400 demonstrators have been killed. Oh my gosh, dude! Since the start of Iran's brutal crackdown last month, according to a U.S.-based rights group, an internet blackout is still in place. The atmosphere in Tehran is extremely heavy and tense. Yeah. Okay. So basically, what we're seeing is language from Trump. I think maybe he's like even a slip of the tongue. Maybe he can't help it. Maybe it's just like, hey, what's going on over there with Tehran? They're like, yeah, sir, this is not going to work. I had another article queued up where they were telling Trump Iran poses a far more dangerous military test for the U.S. and Venezuela exports warrant. So you see, like I've heard other people say this too. Maybe he just like tasted success in Venezuela. He's like, oh my crap, I can do anything. I'm bulletproof. I'm gonna grab freaking Greenland. I'm gonna go for Iran at the same time. Who the hell knows? I mean, I'm sure it's not like that. It just kind of feels that way. Anyway.
Well, it's like you said, grab what you can while you can. Do what you can while you can.
Yeah, fresh off a successful operation in Venezuela, the U.S. is weighing its options as Iran's leadership launches a violent crackdown on anti-government protesters, raising questions about whether similar military pressures could be applied to Tehran, Iran. See, they're like even saying it. They're like, hey, you know what? Venezuela went so well. What the heck? Maybe we can apply this formula again. Maybe we just crack the secret code. In Caracas, Venezuela, special operators moved quickly to capture Maduro. In Iran, any comparable effort would unfold against a state with a greater military depth and the ability to strike back well beyond its borders. Dude, they're repeating what we're saying. Thinking of this as an operation as like
horrifying. That's horrifying to think that I think like CNN.
No, this is
that CNN?
No,
God, mainstream. Oh, I'm burning.
No, they're just pointing out the common sense. They're pointing out this is the reason why we're backing down. This is the reason they're already priming their audience for backing down by speaking this obvious common sense. If they were not going to be backing down, they would be saying something completely different. Right now, the mainstream media would be talking about how they need help and democracy is about to be strangled in its crib. And this is the reason why Venezuelan people all over are protesting to ask for the Americans to come in and
but
whatever
this also proves my point too. Unlike the Europeans who are forming their working group, the Iranians basically came out and said, okay, Trump, go fuck your mother. You attack us, we're going to be attacking every one of your bases, and we're going to wipe Israel off the map, and we're ready this time, right? So there's a reason why the 11-day war was only 11 days, okay? They don't want to get their ass whooped again. And I don't think the Iranians or the Houthis will let an American ship anywhere near the Red Sea.
Okay,
right?
so
They'll blow it out of the water. Come on, man. This is why they're backing down. They got punched in the nose. They know that the Iranians aren't going to fuck around, and they don't have the cards.
well, I think that the battle on the streets is being lost. Like right now, they're being being out arm wrestled. So that's why the protests have like already reached their apex, and it seems like they're on the decline. So I mean, in order to shock this patient back into existence, you need something. They even tried to say 2,400 protesters were being killed. Remember when they justified was it military action or putting people, I forgot what it was that they justified with so-called 100 deaths on the Maidan. This is, if they're claiming 2,400 deaths, then they would have their justification to go in, but they can't because they're like, this is, listen to this sentence. This is from CSIS. What is this? Senior Vice President at CSIS. You could conduct an attack against the leadership, including the supreme leader, but that raises a lot of questions about who comes next. Seth Jones, Senior Vice President at the Center for Strategic and International Studies and former Pentagon official, told Fox News Digital, if Khamenei's son, is it Sadeh Lajani or Hassan Khamenei, Jones said, referring to figures often discussed as potential successors, or do you want to start to look at other options? That uncertainty, Jones says, is what turns a leadership target strike into a far broader and riskier proposition. The more this starts to not be just the removal of a leader, but regime change, the more it becomes an expansive targeting problem, Jones said. Jones added that the core challenge for U.S. planners is not whether or not military force could be used, but what political objective it would serve. Yeah, interesting. Oh, wow, we're starting to figure that out. The big question then becomes what's the objective, not just militarily, but what the political objective in Iran, and how does that translate into what type of military resources you'll need, he said. So, yeah, basically, with Venezuela, they were able to make a very limited operation. They made a deal, some backroom deals with somebody, and were able to get their hands on Maduro. With Iran, they're saying right here, this is not going to be the same. We can't we can't decapitate them. The regime will keep going, you know, and on top of that, there's a succession problem, which we would have to be able to pull off a real rabbit out of a hat in order for us to like strike everybody that could be possibly responsible for carrying on the torch. Because I mean, you get rid of Maduro, all of a sudden it seems like access to Venezuelan resources have been facilitated for the United States, right? So who knows if that would be the same thing with Iran? And it seems like it probably would not. And it looks like to me, what's happening right now is the current state is affairs. Iran was a failure. They were not able to pull off their color revolution, and they don't really have a plan B. So this is why we're starting to see this softening language. And this is why Fox News is saying the same points that we're saying. The reason why they are sounding like us is because they're saying what's obvious. And they're saying like, yeah, this would be, obviously Venezuela and Iran are different, you know? And yeah, I mean, saying that should be obvious, but whatever. Oh yeah, Trump told Iran has halted killings amid mounting protest pressure. Okay, yeah, further on that theme. Trump announced Wednesday afternoon from the Oval Office that he learned the killings in Iran had ended. So you see, Nanya, what a relief.
I stopped the killings. The killings.
The peace president has stopped the killings in Iran, and therefore they were being naughty. And I told them, don't you dare. You better stop, or I will I will Maduro you. And they stopped. So therefore, there's no reason. We've been told that the killing in Iran is stopping, and it's stopped and stopping, and there's no plan for executions or an execution, Trump said. So I've been told that on good authority. We'll find out.
Yeah. So there you go. I mean, I think that proved my point. Nothing's happening in Iran.
I mean,
It's
I don't
just
know if nothing's
another.
happening in Iran. I think they'll still try to do some things, but I think that they're running out of maneuver space.
Yep.
So that's it. Yeah, we already read this. Okay, so how are we doing on time? Oh, we got about half an hour. Okay, cool. This one. Okay, now, so what is going on with the political scandal in Ukraine? Yulia Tymoshenko. Yeah, right. The whole country is one ongoing political scandal. Which part of political scandal are we referring to?
Joking. Actually, I don't know which scandal you're talking about. I truly don't. There's so many these days.
Yeah, well, this is today's news. So this is today's breaking controversy. What is known about Ukraine's corruption scandal as Tymoshenko faces bribery charges? Whoa, hold on, Nunya. You won't believe this. We have discovered a Ukrainian politician taking bribes. Holy crap.
No.
They must be stopped. To besmirch the good name of Ukraine.
For real?
With their corruption.
I don't. I won't have it. I don't believe it.
You can't say it isn't so. Be still my beating heart. But anyway, so Yulia Tymoshenko, who was
in this establishment,
the gas princess is her is this lady's like moniker. So she was like a prime minister of Ukraine for a short time, was extremely unpopular, got in trouble with the law, with like corruption stuff, went to jail, served her term, I think it was like 3 years, then got released around the Maidan, where she, so basically she's been very corrupt all this time, as obviously she would be as somebody that's involved in the gas industry in a country like Ukraine. So anyway, but now, for some reason, they have discovered her corruption, which I guess let's read about this and I'll tell you what my thoughts are. Here we go. Leader of Ukraine's Batkivshina, all Ukrainian Union Fatherland Party, Yulia Tymoshenko allegedly offered members of the Verkhovna Rada, the Ukrainian parliament, $10,000 per month in exchange for specific parliamentary votes, as revealed in audio recordings published by Ukraine's National Anti-Corruption Bureau, NABU. Ukraine's Specialized Anti-Corruption Prosecutor's Office, SAPO, Speaker Olga Pastylyuk, Pastylyuk, has confirmed that charges against Tymoshenko, who faces 5 to 10 years in prison. TASS has compiled key facts about the situation. So this is, we're reading TASS. Raising charges. NABU announced the exposure of a parliamentary faction leader involved in bribing lawmakers from another party. Bureau stated that the exposed leader offered illegal benefits to several MPs from other factions in exchange for voting for or against specific bills. SAPO, Speaker Olga Pastylyuk, confirmed charges against Tymoshenko under an article on bribery of a public official. She did not clarify what preventative measures investigations would seek. Tymoshenko negotiated with several MPs to join the Batkivshina faction in exchange for monetary rewards or informal affiliation, the Strana newspaper reported. NABU stated that the case was initiated over bribery, offering, promising, or providing illegal benefits to a public official, which carries a penalty of 5 to 10 years in prison. Publication of video and audio recordings. NABU published a video of the searches conducted at Tymoshenko's office in her presence. The footage shows Tymoshenko being confronted with stacks of $100 bills by NABU officers. $100 bills, where'd she get those? The Bureau also released audio recordings of Tymoshenko's alleged talks with MPs in the bribery case. Tymoshenko's voice is clearly recognizable, while the voices of other MPs she allegedly offered money to are distorted and their names were not disclosed. The recordings show Tymoshenko offering MPs $10,000 per month for specific parliamentary votes. In the recordings, Tymoshenko states her goal is to break up the majority in parliament. The recordings, which NABU says were made on January 12th, featured discussions about vetoing on bills introduced during the current plenary week, including possible government reshuffles. So like this right here, this is just regular Ukrainian politics. So they're basically accusing her of playing the regular Ukrainian politics games, like trying to finagle in the background to get votes, by the only thing is that, she offered them actual money. Well, this is Ukraine. This is the most corrupt country. It was the most corrupt country in Europe before the war. It's probably the most corrupt country in the world right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's taking this. So the fact that they're pointing at her, tells me that they don't want her to be in the leadership.
Exactly. Right.
They want to get her out of the running for being able to be, maybe she won't go to jail, but you're going to not be the prime minister. You're not going to be pulling the strings. Maybe she's too strong and we want to be able to pull the strings in the background. Or maybe we sense that she is starting to try to maneuver within the parliament to start to grow her power, be a little bit more independent from our sway. And we don't like that. For whatever reason, Naboo is our little weapon, little blackmail, the compromise machine that we have, that we could point at any Ukrainian official at any time. If everybody's bribed to the gills. I mean, what did Zelensky say at one point when he was confronted with bribery or with corruption stuff? He was like, you don't understand how modern politics works. Everybody has to take bribes. He said something like that. So
it's just what I do.
Well, no, it's like everybody has to take bribes, and I don't think he's kidding. I think that if you're going to be too clean, if your hands are going to be clean, you're going to be the odd man out. Nobody needs you to be around, so you have to. It's kind of like take the $100 bills or $10,000, or who knows? What if your kids show up on the front? Kind of stuff.
No, I think Ukraine. You talk about a news item that you just never hear about anymore. It's Ukraine. Like, you really got to search for it nowadays, right? Because
I don't think so, dude. Ukraine's all over the place right now. They don't want to talk about it as much because it's a disaster.
It's in TAS. It's in RT. But if you look, and maybe in the no, but I'm talking mainstream media, nobody gives a shit about Ukraine anymore. Nobody. They're all trying to walk away from it. So they're all walking away from it.
Where it's like half of the stories is about Ukraine.
Not really. No. And you really got to dig for it there too, don't you? It's not on the front page.
Well, the front page is obviously Venezuela right now and Iran.
But my point is, you got to dig for all this stuff, and it's no native reporting. It's the odd AP article that gets blasted out to the newspapers. It's the odd Reuters article that gets blasted out to the newspapers just to, hey, throw something in for Ukraine. But nobody gives a shit about it. They're all walking away from it. And Ukraine is finished. They're finished.
Well, okay. So
nobody cares anymore. No, I got to tell you a story. It's funny. Just yesterday.
Okay.
Where I was at work, and there's a woman who works for me. Real nice girl. She's young. She's only about 27 or something, but married. She's already got 3 kids popped out. You name it. And we're like shooting the shit, and we're bitching and complaining about the lack of transit investment in the city. And out of nowhere, like, it was almost like she was my daughter from a previous life or something. Almost on cue, she comes out of nowhere. And yet we just gave Ukraine another $2.5 billion. Why are we paying for that corrupt country? And I wanted to give her a hug because I was like, oh, yes. But, I figured I'd be written up by HR or something. But it just goes to show that, here you got this person who's not political at all. Even she's like fed up with them, is my point.
Well, they are fed up. This is what I was going to say. You can say that Ukraine is not on the front pages per se because right now it's not going very well, right? They're trying to sweep it under the rug as much as you can. The news that I was reading about Ukraine today, and I wasn't like digging for any specific news, but just the stuff that came across was the corruption thing is pretty big. Like it's big news everywhere in Ukrainian media and Russian media. It's just a big deal. That's what everybody's talking about because Yulia Tymoshenko is considered a heavyweight. She's considered like maybe like one of the 3 big ones, like of the people that are potentially going to be able to take over from Zelensky. So this is just big news. But you could say that in general, the Ukraine stories are being downplayed. And I mean, one of the stories I actually had queued which I think is one of the big revelations that we never that we always knew, but now it's just being set out in the open regarding Ukraine. So this story, December 30th. So it's already 2 weeks late, but they were admitting that, hold up, let me see if I can to not read, because it's a massive article. And let's see if I could find parts in here. Basically, what they're admitting is that this is crazy.
They're admitting it's another failed project.
It's a really big article. Well, no, what they're admitting is how much it is that we've been targeting the Russians this whole time. Oops. That this entire time, whenever Ukraine was supposedly targeting Russian oil infrastructure. Mm-hmm. Surprise! That was not Ukraine. That was us. We were the ones that were giving them these targets. And I'm trying to see. There's a specific.
But I don't think that's new. Like, we've always known that the Americans are providing the targeting to everything Ukraine does, because only the Americans can have that capability. The Europeans don't. So yeah, of course it comes from the Americans. We've always known that. That's not new.
Let me see. Can I get would this work? Okay, if I did this, okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, I found the paragraph that I was thinking about. All right, in June, okay, this is just a treasure trove of admissions about Ukraine right here. In June, beleaguered U.S. military officers met with their CIA counterparts to craft a more concerted Ukrainian campaign. Whoa. Beleaguered U.S. military officials. So what that tells me is these guys are running the war, and everything they're being met with is failure, and they just don't know what to do. They don't know who to turn to. They become beleaguered, and they turn out of desperation to the CIA and say, hey, guys, we need help on this one. Not Ukraine. It is beleaguered U.S. military officials. Okay, so this is not the first, not the third, not the fifth time they've admitted who's running the war. Beleaguered U.S. military officials. It would focus exclusively on oil refineries instead of supply tanks. It would target, instead of supply tanks, would target the refineries' Achilles heel. A CIA expert had identified a type of coupler that was so hard to replace or repair that a refinery would remain offline for weeks. To avoid backlash, they would not supply weapons and other equipment that Mr. Vance's allies wanted for other priorities. As the campaign began to show results, Mr. Ratcliffe discussed it with Mr. Trump. The president seemed to listen to him. They had a frequent Sunday tea time. According to U.S. officials, Mr. Trump praised America's surreptitious role in these blows to Russia's energy industry. They gave him deniability and leverage, he told Mr. Ratcliffe, as the Russian president continued to jerk him off. What? I can't believe the New York Times is admitting this. What the hell? So we're this entire time, while we're pretending like, oh, the Ukrainians are just, fighting for their freedom, and they just want to attack these Russian territories, and they have the right to attack these Russian logistics. It's us that are making this, that are picking these targets. That are beleaguered officials that are running this entire operation. If this was not further admission that this is a proxy war, and this was just December 30th of last year, this is only like 2 weeks old. Energy strikes would come to cost the Russian economy as much as $75 million a day, according to one U.S. intelligence estimate. The CIA would also be authorized to assist with Ukrainian drone strikes on shadow fleet vessels in the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Gas lines would start forming across Russia. We found something that is working, a senior U.S. official said. He then added, for how long, we don't know.
So basically what this article is saying is the war didn't work. We're now resorting to terrorism on civilian infrastructure, and we're having some success with it, so we should proceed with that. That's exactly what this article is saying. It shouldn't come as a surprise.
This
right?
short part, this is a massive
It shouldn't come as a surprise, because the UK's terror chief as well, the MI6 bitch, she said the same thing a couple months back too. Yeah, we're gonna focus on our quote covert, i.e. terrorist acts. So, and they've been doing that. So at least they're following through on the plan. But for
Yeah,
how
well,
long? Right?
it's,
Because eventually
remember,
the Russians are, well, the Russians have already started hitting back American infrastructure. And they're just going to kill a bunch of people because the Russians won't fuck around with this. You kidding me? No, fuck that. Russians going to say, you take one of our flagships again, we're going to sink one of yours.
I
And
don't
there's
know. We'll
nothing you can
see.
do.
I think that the Russians are very cautious about this whole thing.
Yeah, but
They don't
they're
want to.
getting less cautious. They're getting less cautious because they're at the end of the rope with Dick Smack Trump and the Euro trash. So I think the Russians are just like, you know what? We tried diplomacy. We're going to take what we're going to take, and we're going to start taking the gloves off if you piss us off. And that's what
So
happened with Oreshnik too. Like with that attack on the gas plant or whatever it was.
yeah,
They're just like, now it's time to do it the old-fashioned Russian way. And
I think
God be with the rest of you.
I think
That's
it's
what's going to happen now.
another demonstration. But yeah, I think it's definitely a warning shot. Remember all of this. Okay, I went hard on Kellogg last year. I went hard on Kellogg. I put Kellogg on my naughty list. If if my record speaks for anything, if you're on the naughty list, probably not bad things are going to happen to you. If you're on the nice list, got to be careful. But and recently, Donald Trump called Keith Kellogg an idiot. I was very pleased to see that he called him an idiot outright, just in the open. The plan, Mr. Kellogg admitted, was a Hail Mary, and Mr. Trump told him Putin probably won't go for it. Still, he directed Mr. Witkoff, get this to Putin. We're talking about the ceasefire plan that Kellogg was very excited about. They met on August 6th. Mr. Putin didn't go for it. He was not about to cede territory voluntarily, but Mr. Witkoff heard what he interpreted as a breakthrough. According to a Trump advisor, an envoy reported back that Mr. Putin had told him, okay, we can't figure out a ceasefire. Here's what we'll do. We'll do a final peace deal, and that peace deal is the balance of Donetsk. Actually, it was more. In this 3+2 plan, the Russians would also keep Crimea and get their last sliver of Lugansk. Instead of withdrawing from Kherson and Zaporozhye, as Mr. Kellogg had proposed, they would keep the territory they'd already conquered. The plan was not for total control, Mr. Putin had long demanded, but was still far more favorable to Russia. Afterward, Mr. Trump hailed the meeting as highly productive and invited Russia to Alaska. So this was that talk that we were talking about all that entire time. They already knew that this was a Hail Mary, that this would not work. And this quote unquote Hail Mary was for the Russians was a not enough starting base. The Russians were like, okay, we can start to discuss this, but this is not far, like not even close to enough. And remember what happened after that. There was constant talk about the Russians' maximalist demands, Putin's maximalist demand, Putin not willing to back down on his maximalist demands. And there was all this tough talk from the Europeans. The Europeans, it was almost like, now looking back at it, it's almost like they were puffing up their feathers or something.
Yeah, of course. Yep. And you don't see them doing that now, do you? So, and that's why I'm saying, like, I think that this is all coming to an end because the Europeans are out of gas. They don't have anything left. The Americans don't have anything left. And like I said, the Russians are just going to keep taking what they're going to take, and they're not going to negotiate anymore. They're just going to keep moving until somebody on the other side says, okay, we're willing to talk on your terms. And that's what I think will happen now. The Russians are just going to keep moving forward, and you're not going to hear anything unless you follow it, right? Like you and I do. You're not going to hear a lot about Ukraine anymore until one day you'll start hearing about a potential peace agreement. And by that point, it'll already have been worked out. You and I have been talking about it for about a month by the time the mainstream media actually gets to that. So keep watching the channel, and you'll get the real scoop.
So, okay, considering I know you said that there's not a lot of Ukraine news, but there's actually kind of some interesting Ukraine news. This was another one that came up. I can't believe the Telegraph printed this. This is mind-numbing. I can't believe it. And if this doesn't, I don't know what this means. Is this trying to signal that the Brits are trying to back out of? I don't know. Okay, Nazi salutes and drug cartels. Dutch mercenary recounts service with Kiev's military. Criminals from Latin America have reportedly built a state within a state in the Ukrainian army. The Ukrainian military is plagued with abuse and corruption, with some units Come on. With some units dominated by neo-Nazis or foreign drug cartel members, former Dutch mercenary who fought for Kiev has said. And honestly, look at this. Why is the Daily Telegraph spelling it like Kiev, right? Usually they spell like Kiev.
Sounds to me like this Dutch mercenary is nothing more than a Putin puppet.
Yeah, must be, right? This entire Daily Telegraph has always been nothing but a Moscow mouthpiece. The retired Air Force serviceman who goes by the alias Hendrik admitted he got disillusioned. Air Force serviceman got disillusioned with Kiev's cause after traveling to Ukraine on 3 occasions to fight Russia. It's a corrupt gang there, he told the Telegral newspaper in an interview published on Saturday. At some point, Hendrik ended up with a 3rd separate assault brigade, a successor to the infamous neo-Nazi Azov regiment. An officer within the brigade assured the Dutchman the unit had severed its links to neo-Nazis. It turned out to be a lie, according to Hendrik. Shocking chagrin.
Say it ain't so, you know? Like
he said this. He said he saw Nazi symbols, swastikas, and flags of Stefan Bandera, the leader of Ukrainian nationalism movement.
Stefan who? Bandera? No, I don't.
The very same.
Next, you're going to tell me that they're putting up statues of the guy or something crazy like that.
Yeah, right. Next, you're going to show me pictures of swastikas. But anyway,
well, like we're joking, obviously, but you and I'm sure you have. I certainly have. Anytime I ever raise, like if you go back 2 years, 3 years, whatever, and you start, and I was telling my friends or people about the Nazi problem, oh my God, you wouldn't know. I got called everything under the sun. I lost friends over this, like legitimate friends that I had since I was a little kid, because they were like, oh, you're brainwashed, Putin puppet, that's propaganda, yada, 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 yada. Now it's all coming out. Where are those friends now?
It's coming out in the Daily Telegraph.
It's coming out everywhere because you can't hide it. It's like, how do you hide the guy with the swastika on his neck and stuff like that?
Anyway,
this
guy all of a sudden after
that's just a Hindu symbol. It's jeez.
It's a Roman salute. What?
Yeah.
Other foreign fighters told him they had seen Ukrainian soldiers giving Nazi salute every morning. Dutchman said he saw an invasion of Colombians to Ukraine. Kiev was actively attracting Latin American fighters to fill up its army ranks. He said that many of them being drug cartel members, that Latin Americans were also allowed to build their own state within the Ukrainian army and were involved in some chilling war crimes. Hendrik stated, adding that he was shown photos of beheadings and heard about torture and mutilation, as well as horrific treatment of Russian prisoners of war. Moscow has reportedly drawn attention to Kiev openly supporting neo-Nazis and maintained that Ukraine denazification should be part of any peace settlement. Media reports also suggest that Mexican drug cartels were getting weapons and training in Ukraine. Last year, the newspaper Milenio reported that one cartel had acquired advanced drone warfare skills by sending its members to fight for Kiev.
Okay, but I'd hate to break it to you. This is not mainstream media. Like, if you look down, it's just some little independent paper. That's why they're reporting it. If it was an actual legitimate... I thought
this was the Daily Telegraph.
Nah, just read down. It's like, yeah, we're some little shit independent media. Please support us here. Yeah, go down and sit at the bottom. Because it's not like CNN would ever carry this Dutch guy on there or anything like that. They can't tell the truth like that.
See,
I'm still convinced that Mr. Hendrik is just a Putin puppet.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think you might be right. Is this really a tiny thing?
Yes. I saw it at the bottom of the article. Yeah, just at the bottom of the article. It was right there.
About contact us latest independent not-for-profit New Zealand and World News and Opinion. I don't know. I don't think that's.
Well, they're looking.
I don't know how big they are. Yeah, I thought everybody knows the Daily Telegraph in the UK is a big newspaper. I thought this was them at first. Yeah. Maybe it's not. Okay, but okay. Anyway, let's see.
But even the fact that this guy Hendrik is speaking out, it kind of tells you everything. Like it will get eyeballs on it, right? Yeah. And the point is valid. People have awoken to the narrative because the narrative is just too big to hide. Yes, they're corrupt. 100%. Yes, they're fascist. 100%. Like, This was common. This was just established fact prior to 2022. You can go back throughout the years and you can find all sorts of articles written in the mainstream media about Ukraine.
Yes.
And then they just forgot about it. So
yeah, because it was inconvenient to mention it, and now it's kind of like, well, it's crawling its way back in. And the thing is, like, you know, what's funny? Like, I live now in a time where everybody that I look that's like my age and younger that says anything about Ukraine knows very well, usually, about like the Nazi problem. They know that very well, and they're sick of Ukraine, like you said, and they're sick of Ukraine. Like, okay, let's just get this already over and done with. And Ukraine kind of sucks anyway. Like, they have gotten sick of Ukraine. They've gotten sick of Zelensky. I mean, I'm sure, you know, the tide comes in, the tide goes out. It's magic. You can't explain it. You know, maybe Zelensky will be popular again. Who knows? But I think that Americans, like you said, are tired of it. And we're tired of losing too, right? So anyway, so for 2 scoops of crazy, my first story for 2 scoops.
All right.
Alligators in the sewer myth is true. City workers find out in jaw-dropping video. New York might not have those infamous alligators in the sewer, but Florida has the real thing. A work crew in Oviedo, Florida, proved the NYC urban legend was a Sunshine State reality after discovering a 5-foot gator residing in a sludge-filled pipe. Footage of the scaly subterranean terror is currently stirring up a crap storm. Yeah, I mean, think about that. The alligators just living in shit. Ugh. Have you
ever been to Florida?
I've never been to Florida. Well, I think I just don't remember. I've
been to Florida at least a dozen times, if not more.
Jesus,
and I'm telling you, there's alligators down there everywhere. Like, you know, they're all over the goddamn place down there. It's
just living in shit.
It doesn't surprise me at all.
Ugh. Imagine that's not the alligator you want to get bit by. So they said they initially mistook the cold-blooded underwater for a toad until they saw 2 little glowing eyes. Oh my God. Oh, how close did you get to it? At first, it feels like the Sunshine State is poaching a long-standing Big Apple hoax, perhaps some of the 10,000 exiles that took their myths with them. And one seems, whatever. In the freaky POV footage, blah, blah, blah. Are they going to show us the footage? No, we just get like screenshots. But yes, so, I mean, I did not think that any animal would actually live there. I mean, I guess rats, that makes sense. Toads, I guess that makes sense. A gator, what do you eat down there? I guess rats and toads.
Well, they come out and I'm sure it goes out and it hunts and stuff like that. Those things are everywhere, man.
That is disgusting and scary. I think the part of the story that is more shocking to me is the fact that there's a gator living in shit. That's the part that I'm like, I'm so sorry, gator. Oh, I'm so sorry that we did this to you. That's disgusting.
All right, you want me to go with my 2 scoops?
Okay, I have one more. I guess, yeah, we're not on much time. Where is it? Okay, so here's so we've done some Russians interfacing with bear stories. Now here's the difference between, I guess, Russians and Americans. So listen, California homeowner rolls out unwelcome map for black bear living under his house. Huge black bear made its den in the crawl space under a Los Angeles area man's house for more than a month, has finally been evicted. He evicted the poor baby. Altadena resident, dude, I lived in California and I don't know what that is. Altadena resident Ken Johnson said the animal began denning beneath his home around Thanksgiving, twisting gas lines and toppling bricks as he came out and went. Surveillance video showed the bears easily tearing away screening and other obstacles and squeezing through a small opening. Johnson said in a phone interview that he first asked the state wildlife officials to help, but the air horns and paintball guns they deployed didn't work, so he turned to Bear League, a California-based nonprofit that builds itself specializing in long-term harmony with bears. What, Bear League? Long-term harmony with bears? Why are you evicting the poor guy then? If you want long-term harmony for bears, you should like build him a shelter, you know, right there underneath the house so he doesn't get rid of the piping. The bear was out within 20 minutes after the members from the group arrived, Johnson said. I wonder what they did. They probably tortured him. Social media post on Thursday, and the group said that the most experienced responders crawled beneath the home and got behind the bear, which estimates weigh more than 500 pounds, to encourage the animal to leave. Jesus Christ, they literally crawled in there and like forced him out manually. So yeah, that does not sound like harmony with bears for me. But anyway, to me, I guess let's do your two scoops.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't want to go under a house and try to clear the bear. That seems like a bad day to me. Okay, first story.
What the heck?
Mattel adds autistic Barbie to their. So when I was a kid, you just didn't hear about autism whatsoever because it really didn't exist back then. Back then, 1 in 10,000 children had autism. Today, and this is 100% true, look it up yourself. I was shocked when I read the statistic. Sometime in the last 40 years, we've gone from 1 in 10,000 to 1 in 36 children having autism. 1 in 36. Guys, I cannot tell you how many people I know who have kids with autism. It is unbelievable. But instead of, figuring out what the problem is, instead, what do? We normalize it. We put out a fucking artistic Barbie because we don't actually want to, research the fact that maybe all this processed food that we have is causing this. Because there's evidence to suggest this. Maybe it's all the bullshit in our environment that's causing all this. I don't have the answer. I'm not a scientist. But what I can tell you is it should be pretty easy to figure out, and we shouldn't be normalizing it by making dolls for children. We should solve the problem and reverse it.
I think that probably there's probably some kind of level of understanding, and there's some kind of risk versus reward calculation that somebody decided was sufficient. It was paying off, I guess, because you know what, that's interesting because I'm younger than you, but I know a couple of people that have autistic children as well, and that's something that
I never heard of it. You didn't hear about it until about 15 years ago. There's something that we've got in our food supply that's killing us. It's killing us. It is killing us. It's retarding our children. It is making men sterile. It is making women miscarry at record rates.
What if it's
right?
Mountain Dew?
I don't drink Mountain Dew. But what I can tell you is...
And you're not sterile. I don't drink Mountain Dew either.
Well, I have procreated. I do have the children. They're somewhere in the house. But I guess my point is we shouldn't be... Don't normalize the problem, solve it. Go figure out what in the hell we're doing to kill our kids.
That's your perspective on this. My perspective on this is, how the hell are you going to make an autistic Barbie? What the hell does that even mean? Autism is not a physical, it does not physically.
Well, she's got the earmuffs on because she's sensitive to, whatever. It's a joke.
Those could be headphones. That might as well be headphones, and that might as well be a tablet. First of all,
she's autistic Barbie.
I want to see their Down syndrome Barbie. They have apparently a Down syndrome Barbie and a type 1 diabetes Barbie. So what does the type 1 diabetes Barbie do? It look like a regular Barbie except with like a needle and like a meter. This is what I'm saying. I don't know. You can't make an autistic Barbie. You can't make a type 1 diabetes Barbie, maybe unless like she's missing toes or something. But when it comes to the Down syndrome Barbie, you can make a Down syndrome Barbie because there's definitely a facial feature thing going on there. I want to see Down syndrome Barbie. I wonder if I Google.
Well, I just think, why would you have a kid in this world? If I think back of mine, I am so goddamn lucky that my children came out, quote, normal. Because when you think of the odds, 1 in 36, that's pretty good odds that you're going to have a kid with autism. And like I said, I have so many friends, family, you name it, who have got autistic children and didn't exist. Or if it existed, nobody knew about it because it was so rare, right? That's my point. So shame on Mattel, shame on the Barbie doll people, and shame on our various governments for not figuring out what the problem is and stopping it.
Share my screen real quick. Just one last thing. Just share my screen. I found the Down syndrome Barbie. Here she is.
Add to stage. Before presenting, what does it say? It won't let me add it.
Why not?
Are you clicking around at it? Is it a picture or?
Yeah, it's a picture. It's a StreamYard is now sharing a window. Yeah. Oh, get rid of yours. You got to first. Each got first get rid of yours.
Okay, good man. See how stupid we are, folks? There you go.
Yeah, dude. This Down syndrome Barbie, she exists. It's a real thing.
My God, that's Erica Kirk.
Right? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Erica Kirk is Down syndrome Barbie. Hey, I'd toss it in Down syndrome Barbie. I have no shame. No, dude, that's Erica Kirk.
There's a sex doll for it. I mean, I'm sure, or they could be. Why not? I mean, I'm sure sex doll probably already kind of looks kind of retarded.
Put a Turning Point shirt on her. That's Erica Kirk, dude.
Yeah, and make her hair more blonde. Oh, that's so funny. But yeah, this is a Down syndrome Barbie. Okay, so she does exist. So there's a. Okay.
I got one more funny one for you before we leave. Right. Germany, which is rapidly deindustrializing.
You can go ahead and share.
Yeah, so they've rapidly deindustrialized their country. And now in some of their municipalities, the cities have stopped using salt on the sidewalks because that could potentially harm the environment. So our little green friends over in Germany are now going around in some of these towns like this.
It's probably just a good idea in general.
So yeah, Germany, you broke it, you bought it. Like I said, Germany, they did this to themselves.
Yeah, done fucked
and
up.
I hope I'll make it down the stairs moving forward.
Okay.
So anyway, peace out.
All right, guys. That was our 37th episode of Hell in the Handbasket. We'll see you guys sooner, hopefully, because there's no more holidays. So we'll see you sooner rather than later. Peace.
All right. Cheers, guys.